You are watching QLM Business News. Here are today's news stories. UK government backs Gatwick's second runway expansion. The UK government has given conditional backing to a second runway at Gatwick Airport, with approval dependent on the implementation of measures to mitigate noise pollution. Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander announced she was minded to approve the expansion, though strong opposition remains from MPs, local authorities, and residents. The project proposes to reposition Gatwick's northern runway, currently used for taxiing and emergency landings, into full operational use by the end of the decade. However, the endorsement does not guarantee the expansion, as planning permission is still required. If granted, work on the £2.2 billion privately funded development could begin almost immediately, according to sources. Government stance and economic growth goals. In a ministerial statement, Alexander emphasized the importance of gathering feedback before a final decision is made in October. Gatwick must respond by the 24th of April, outlining plans for noise reduction and improving public transport accessibility for passengers. Gatwick's chief executive, Stuart Wingate, welcomed the announcement, stating that the government had provided a clear pathway to full approval later in the year. He confirmed the airport would fully cooperate in the next phase of discussions. The endorsement aligns with the government's broader economic growth strategy, as seen in Chancellor Rachel Reeves' recent support for a third runway at Heathrow. Impact on aviation and passenger travel. Gatwick, located in West Sussex, is the busiest single-runway airport in Europe, serving over 40 million passengers last year. The expansion aims to increase flight capacity, particularly for short-haul destinations, differentiating it from Heathrow's focus on long-haul routes and freight operations. Airport executives argue that the facility has reached full capacity, with 55 takeoffs and landings per hour during peak periods. The new runway could facilitate an additional 50,000 flights annually by the late 2030s, with 30,000 of those departing from the reconfigured northern runway, which would be used exclusively for takeoffs. Opposition and environmental concerns. The expansion faces strong resistance from environmental campaigners and local communities. Greenpeace UK's policy director, Douglas Parr, dismissed the economic benefits, stating that the project would lead to increased pollution, noise, and carbon emissions. Similarly, economist Alex Chapman from the New Economics Foundation argued that the move would not generate new jobs but merely redistribute existing employment opportunities across regions. Sally Pavey, Chair of Communities Against Gatwick Noise Emissions, CAGN, voiced concerns over air quality, road congestion, and the broader climate impact. She warned that her group would pursue legal action if the expansion is approved. Climate considerations and sustainable aviation fuel. The government's independent climate advisors, the UK Climate Change Committee, UKCCC, recently recommended reducing aviation emissions by 17% compared to 2003 levels. While alternative fuels like sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, could play a role, experts warn of challenges in securing sufficient raw materials for production. The UKCCC advocates slowing demand for flights to help the country meet its climate targets, urging a growth rate closer to 16% by 2040 rather than the projected 53%. Despite the controversy, Gatwick's development director, Bronwyn Jones, insisted the expansion would be beneficial, providing passengers with more destinations, increased airline choices, and better flight frequencies. The government's final decision is expected in October, with significant implications for the UK's aviation industry and environmental policies. Brought to you by QLM Business News, your trusted digital media source. Stay informed at qlmbusinessnews.com and connect with us on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Help us deliver more news stories by liking, sharing, and subscribing today.